welcome to what I made in April. The first thing is almost a continuation of what I made in March because I started April with knitting a pair of socks. I used two different yarns because I had one ball of yarn from each color. Yeah, both different, both yarn and color. So I started with this one, Regatta print. It's a sock yarn. It's a German sock yarn. Why do I even show you this? I don't know. It's a very beautiful multicolored, wait, where's the camera? Where is the camera here? I'm very confused now. Okay, but here you have the color. It's like blue, white, and different blues. Yeah, blue, white, and different blues. Wow, language, wee! And the second part of the socks, I made with this yarn, GB Match. I don't know anything about it. I'm fairly certain it's German. And that is a very, very colorful yarn. So many colors. And you might think that I could do them separate, like one foot and then one leg, but I prefer my socks to be the same. So the feet are in the white blue yarn, and white and blue, ribbing on top. I started from the toe, I did the heel, and I did exactly, wait, how do I show you properly? Here we go. When I got exactly to the middle, that's where I switched, which is why this leftover is super tiny. I could have finished it, but I wanted to switch the exact middle. I can't see what I'm filming. The exact middle of the foot, or, well, yeah, on the heel at least. So multicolored on top, which is why if you want to show off the socks, these are like simple, calm socks. But if you want to be a little bit more adventurous, you make sure to show off the leg because that is very colorful. And it doesn't show up as well on camera. It gets too dark. Come on. Show it well on camera. No? Okay. Sorry. But it's very bright actually in real life. I knit most socks the exact same way. The only thing that differs from different pairs of socks, it depends on the yarn, because if it's a thick yarn, I use thicker needles. This is a fairly thin yarn. I mean, look at that. It's very thin, very, very thin. Both of them are that. So I used the 2.5 millimeter needles, so I needed a lot of stitches. These are 80 stitches in the round by the end, so it's a lot of stitches on 2.5 millimeter needles. So they took me a while to knit. These took me 10 days to knit because, you know, also spring has arrived, so I'm outside a bit, which means less time for knitting, obviously. But yeah, socks. The first thing I knitted in April. The second thing, I did not knit, I did crochet, but the second thing I made in April was a baby blanket. Do I need it? No. Would I like to sell it? Yes. So, and also the question is, will that happen? Well, so far I've knitted 3 baby blankets earlier. None of them have sold. They have been looked at, they have been admired, and they have not sold. But, you know, there is a time for everything, and maybe, fingers crossed, at some point I will sell all of them. That'd be amazing. But for my baby blanket that I made as the second thing in April, I made it with a cotton yarn. Oh, partially cotton. It's called King Cotton. Egyptian cotton, but it's 45% cotton and 55% acrylic. And it's so soft. It's insane. And I crocheted, and it was very simple. It turned quite big though. I mean, can you see? It's too big to show you the whole thing in one go. Can I show you? Well, this is half of it. And it was a very, very simple one because I needed something relaxing and not thinking for the brain. So okay, some people might not call it a thick yarn. Considering the fact that I've knitted a lot of socks lately with very thin yarn, this felt really thick to me. I had to use a crochet needle that was 5.5 millimeter, which I almost never used such a huge needle. At least to me, that's what it felt like. So I made like a chain of, let's see how many, 122 chains. I don't know the crochet terms in English. And so I don't know the stitch name in English. It might be double crochet, maybe. I don't know, but I made a long chain, and then I had one stitch that I did all over. And if I just hold it up to the camera, you can see, maybe, if you know how it looks. I don't know. Can you guess from that? I would not be able to, because I only know a few crochet stitches, and I've learned them all from a book. And I've since looked some of them up online, and I was like, oh, I'm doing it wrong. Whoops. But it works. It looks nice. So yeah, I made this. I crocheted this. The finished sizes. So the sizing is, the size is 75 times 90 centimeters. So, you know, it's a pretty good size. And I used only 9 days though, because thick yarn, big needle, or hook. Yeah. Thick yarn, big hook, at least in my opinion. So it went fairly quick. And I would like to sell it for 550 Norwegian kroners. Will that happen? I don't know. But it was very enjoyable while I did it. And it's like, since it's crochet, it's not like overly stretchy. It keeps its shape. Because I have knitted some baby blankets, and the knitted ones are like super stretchy in all directions. Crochet kind of keeps its shape a lot more. But since the yarn is so soft, it doesn't make it hard. It just makes it more not stretchy. Either way, I really enjoyed making this. And it was such a nice and relaxing thing. I didn't need to think. I just sat with my crochet hook and knit. It's impossible to show the motions without stuff in my hands. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Fingers crossed that at some market I go to will give me a chance to actually sell it too. And then the third thing I made in April, going back to what I often do, I used a yarn called Ellen. It's 100-gram yarn. I have a little bit of a leftover, and this is actually 100% polyester. Not something I usually work with, and also it's thick enough that I used, I didn't even write that down. Hold on. I forgot to take a note here. Oh no, I did make that note, just in this slightly. I have a notebook where I write down technically it's a notepad, but this is where I write down all the things so I can remember it, because that's not always easy. But yeah, 100% polyester. And I made, as I've made many other times, socks. Let me take one out and show you. I did it like I do all the socks. I start from the toe. I do a short row heel there. I have ribbing on top of the foot, stockinette under the foot, and ribbing all along the leg. This pair is several other pairs I've been making lately for a friend's dad. So, and also, you gotta look at the color. It's such a beautiful color. It's like white and blue and a little turquoise and grays. And it's super soft. And I used a 4mm needle because the yarn is so thick, which means they're really nice and squishy. It's polyester. I don't know if they'll be super warm. I kind of hope that they are because the other ones that I've made has been with thinner yarn, so they're not as squishy, they're not as warm, I assume, because thick, squishy often equals warm. Not always, but often. So yeah, it was like, it's not really much to say about socks when you knit socks. They're like, I knit socks the same way all the time. Maybe I should have like more variety. I don't know. This was simple and easy. And I don't like putting a lot of patterns like cables and stuff when it's a multicolored yarn because the cables disappear. You just see the multicolored yarn anyway. So I might as well just do them plain and simple. But I spent a total of 8 days on these. I've mentioned before, spring has finally arrived with a lot of sun, and that means outdoor time with gardening and doing all the things. So that was the third thing I made in April. The fourth thing I made in April was a remake, because I had made one thing and then I realized it wasn't quite what I wanted. Except it was. It was something to sit on, but I had knitted it, and knitting is very stretchy in all different like directions. So my knitting is very stretchy. My crochet, not so stretchy, kind of keeps it cheap. Way better. So this, I started with the green, and then the red, and then the blue, and then a like orangey brown orange. I don't know what this color is. Please tell me if you have a name for it. But I don't know like the crochet stitches in English because, you know, I'm Norwegian. I don't have everything in English. But I started with a chain of, well, first I started with 100 stitches, and I was like, no, I think it's too small. And then it was like 110, and I was like, no, that's too big because it does stretch a little. And then I went back to 100, and then yeah, I had like one very small stitch first and then a bigger stitch. I don't know if I can show you like which color would be best. Might actually be this one. That's basically 2 rows between here. So yeah, it didn't take me long, but it was definitely, I think the hardest part was actually because the knitted version I had woven in the ends, and first of all, finding the ends, even though you can see here, I mean, there are transitions mid rows. So that part was not difficult to find in the knitting either, but figuring out like how to undo the ends that I'd woven in, man, apparently I don't think I need to worry much about things being undone after I've woven in the ends, because wow, I think that was the thing that took the longest compared to how little it was, and was the hardest, was to undo what I had woven in. And then I just kind of unraveled it as I went, and here it is. It is very nice to keep under my butt when I sit in the kitchen, because what I sit on is I don't know what kind of fabric it is, but it's not a warm fabric. This is wool and wool blends. I don't know exactly which kind of yarn it is because they're leftovers, but they are wool and wool blends. And redoing this, including unpicking the woven ends, took me 5 days. So it was a very quick and easy win, and my butt thanks me for it because it helps keep my butt warm when I sit. Not that I need it anymore because, let's be honest, spring has arrived with heat. Not in the at night because it's still -degrees Celsius, but you know, also known as frost. But yeah, the sun has come. It's heating up. It's lovely. But when I was done with this, I still had more April left. So I started a new project. And I'm not done, but I'm still going to show you because I won't have time to finish it in April. And also, I kind of have to show it off before I undo it. Because I realized I didn't like the stitches with the yarn. And it's the start of a hat. I mean, I got pretty far. It's supposed to be a double, like basically a tube that you fold in half so it's a hat. And I want to have a fold up brim. But this stockinette with this yarn is like, it doesn't, I'm usually very good at like have the stitches be very even when I knit. It is not as even as I would like it to be with this. And also, oh no, I got stuck. Hold on. And also, like the ribbing, I was gonna do 1 by 1 ribbing, and then I realized I didn't really like that look. So I made my own little swatch, like by the end here, because I was reaching the end of the ball of yarn, but I knitted like 2 by 2 ribbing, and I liked that so much more. So I was like, okay, so I don't want 2 by 2 ribbing on the brim. And then I was like, I want not stockinette, but I want maybe cables, because the idea was my strawberry hat, and that has lace work. But I realized I didn't like it with this yarn. So I was like, oh, maybe I can do cables. And I have a tiny example here, and it's like practically invisible. Oh, you can actually see better on camera than in real life. Well, that's interesting. But yeah, and I was like, you know what? It's cute, but it's still not quite what I wanted. But I know I want the 2 by 2 ribbing for the brim. And I was like, I think it might be called moss stitch. In Norwegian, like directly translated from Norwegian to English, it's called purl stitch. Opposite, oh, it's so hard to show, but opposite like knits and purls on top of each other. And I think I want my hat to be in that stitch with the 2 by 2 ribbing, which means I have to undo this. So this will be frogged. Not really, I will just, because there's so little left on this end. So I'm just going to start on this end, or from this end of the yarn, and just do the hat how I think I want it. I mean, I don't know for sure. I haven't tried it before. I don't have a pattern for that. I'm going to do a lot of the same as it is with the same stitch count, but the difference will be the stitch. It's a different type of stitch and a different ribbing. And I hope I will like it, but you know, you never know. So yeah, that has been my knitting and crochet for the month of April. I hope you enjoyed this. And I mean, I know I do, both talking about it and doing it. So it is unfortunate that I have to undo this much, but I mean, I just undid this and made it into something I really love. So who knows? Keep your fingers crossed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!